Welcome everybody to another episode of the Terrain Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. This morning on the Terrain Studio, yes, that's right, it is the morning. I didn't get a chance to bring you guys an update last night because I'd worked till about 2 a.m. and I was just a little too tired to film, and my brain was exhausted from trying to get over my own stupidity issues and solve my own problems that I was creating for myself. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this stream here. I knew this stream was going to be probably the most problematic section of the table. Anytime that you're cutting resin or things like that across seams, it's always going to be problematic. But cutting resin wasn't the issue last night. The issue was the actual logistics of this stream and pond here. So the map shows that the pond is very close to the roadway that goes right here, and I knew that was going to be a problem, but I wanted to draw it as the map indicated. It doesn't really indicate on the map how they attempted to have this pond so close to the waterway. There's no retaining walls or anything like that, but one thing that the map does have the advantage is it's able to work below the surface level. I unfortunately am confined to the flat table top. So when I went to lay this out last night, I had laid basically 3 pieces of foam to cover this whole sort of block area here. And the plan was, to raise it up an inch and then cut some slopes down from the river, or stream, whatever you want to call it. But right here I had no material to work with. There was no way for me to make a nice gradual slope or for me to make it look realistic in any way. So herein lies the problem. So I was racking my brain, attempting to solve all the problems that I had. First attempt was I was going to change the angle of the river. So by changing the angle of the river, that basically put the pond here. The problem is it went across one less seam, which was nice, but it didn't give me any extra material here. So then my plan was to just shorten the river, so move it back, and then have the pond sort of in here. With that, put it across this section of 4 seams, and B, it still didn't give me enough material. It gave me about 2 inches of material, and when I would try to cut the slope, it just wasn't enough to make it look realistic. No matter how I went about getting around it, the pond was always going to look like it was above ground level, which it physically was. So there was really no way to mask that, create the illusion that it wasn't. I thought if I confine the river to 2 tiles, that I'd be able to put the pond over here. That was fine, except it didn't give me much materials here, and when it ran off here, it was very close over here and just didn't look realistic. So basically in the end result, I had already cut the recess into the tiles, the foam tiles here, and it looked something like this. Minus this sort of cluster. So it was more or less like that, which married up quite nicely to this section. And then I had another piece here. But when I came in the end result, I was like, I need to have this confined to 1 tile. So I initially cut it to fit here. But the problem is, you guys can see, it's way too close to the road still, and it goes way too far over that way. If I move it over here, the problem is it went across the road and created some issues. But I was like, going across the road actually is not too bad. Maybe there's some way I can create a hill and put a bridge here. But the problem is when it goes across there, then I have this sort of rising road. I'd have to put slope over here. I was very close to the edge here, which means I need to create a long slope over here. And then this still created some issues here. So I sat and stared for about 2 hours, and I was just like, why can't I solve this problem? And then it sort of occurred to me, it's probably occurred to you guys long ago, you guys probably said this before in the planning stages, that it wasn't going to work, but this is what I came up with. Let's do this. So now I've created my own recess. I don't need to worry about trying to artificially create one, I just physically created one. So I cut the tile to fit. I'm not going to slide it in because it's pretty snug in there by design. But it's going to fit right down in there. So let's just pretend that I'll just remove this tile for a second. So the tile's going to be there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the magnetization holes to the top. So it will still magnetize I'll just cut a hole in here so they'll still magnetize to each other, which is fine. Move this out of the way. The single piece of foam is going to allow me to pour that waterway as a single pour, and there's a little lip here, but that's actually compensated when it's put in the tile. So this will be flush across the top. So for now, you're just going to need to ignore the other stream here. So it allows me to do a single pour. It gives me a nice surface to work with. I'm just going to plaster cloth this in here so it's nice and sturdy. I'll plaster cloth over this so that it's hard, just like the hardboard. And what this basically created was everything that I wanted. It got me a recessed look. It does go across the road, so I was like, it's going to go across the road. I might as well extend this down, and then boom, we'll just pop in a bridge. So now we have this sort of look. So, and I thought, great, I got the blockhouse at the end, so that's actually should be at the end of a bridge, and I didn't have to sacrifice anything other than the fact I opened up some more space here. So since I opened up some space here, I thought, you know, a gentle rise going here to kind of elevate this forest stand would be nice. It would give me some artificial elevation, help me, the bridge would also give me some elevation, and then will really help to highlight the low-lying water. So in the end, I think this is going to be a much better result. It's a little bit different than the map, but not a whole lot of difference. Basically, the features just moved over a tile, and I solved a lot of problems by that. So what should have been like a 4-second solution for like a 5-year-old basically turned out to be a 3-hour epic battle for myself. So I apologize that I didn't get the update up last night, but I think you guys can see, or maybe you disagree that it looks better, but maybe just pop your comments below, and we'll take it from there. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next update. Cheers.